Well, I got the floor finished from the last video, and now it's time to get this front wall finished up, framing this window, get the header on that door, and then cover it up. Okay, now the framing is completely done on the front wall. It's all nailed in place. I got the blocking done on that far wall, all nailed in place. Last of the framing is this stuff over here, but I'm not going to deal with that yet. What I am going to work on right now is trying to get the sheathing on. So my plan, obviously I'm going to have to, well, I won't lift that up, the tarp up for now, but I'm going to just kind of leave it there. But I'm going to put one piece of sheathing here, just kind of as my pilot. I'm not going to cut out the window. I'm not doing that until, spring, when I'm going to be finishing this up. But I want the sheathing to go down, and I want it to cover the sill, and because that's what it's supposed to do, and it'll basically rest just above the foundation, or yeah, it should be just above it. It should be like corners touching. So there's some details that I'm going to do here that are probably different than other people. My sill plate, if you've been watching, is not, it's not the edge. It's not the square edge of the building. So it's a little bit farther back. The maximum distance back is about an inch. That's on the upper corner up here where the foundation, when it was being poured, it kind of like kicked out a little bit. So that's kind of the biggest gap there. It's a small spot, and it's the only gap that's that large. So what I'm going to do to try to deal with this situation is I've cut off the bottom, however much I measured, bit of insulation, and I'm basically going to stand this up and just kind of like, stand it up like that onto the wall. Of course, I forget to tape this side before I put it up. At least it's not nailed in yet. Okay, so putting this up against the wall, you can see there's a little bit of a gap. I just measured it. It's about 1/4 of an inch out here, and I think it's a little deceptive with the shadows. It really stays pretty consistent to about here, and then there's a cut in. So I'm going to try trimming off this part. I'll have to retape it after I do this, but I'm going to try to basically do an angle cut from here, and I'm going to have to measure 1/4 of an inch in at the bottom corner, and then we'll try refitting it. And basically we'll just keep trimming a little bit off and sliding it over until that gap closes. This panel, the one above it, and then like on the other side, those two should be the only ones that have to deal with this kind of nonsense for, because everything else is just built on top of the floor, which is, not going to have that kind of problem. There we go, much better. A little bit of a gap up here at the top, very small. I'd say that's acceptable. There's going to be at some point liquid flashing that goes across the seam there, so I like this. This is good. I'm going to reflash that, retape it up, and then get this thing attached. Getting some walls up. So that is basically all the panels are in place, and the wind is very nicely blowing the tarp out of the way so we can see. Clearly I got to cut the door section out. There's going to be a window over here, as we saw. That's got to be cut out, but I'm basically going to leave that. I got to finish doing the taping that was along the seams and all that kind of thing. But this is basically where I think I'm going to leave it off. We're going to be, having this tarp stay in place, taping. We're going to tape here, tape these verticals. We're going to leave the top alone and just have this tarp be protecting that. But I'm going to get the actual door in place. We're going to go tomorrow to talk to somebody about, siding and all that. But yeah, I'm going to leave this video here. We'll basically pick back up after the winter has passed, and then I can start doing the first floor and all that. There's still a few things to do inside. I got to do some of the studs, these studs in place for this wall, and finish, the end studs. I gotta do some crossbars so that I can get the stud attached. But it's, that's just minor stuff. I'm also gonna be adding insulation on the inside of this wall. I think I'm gonna use rock wool, and I'll be also insulating the joists to make this space, you know, able to retain warmth. I'll feel comfortable like I can leave it over the winter, and I know that, you know, my footings won't freeze and all that. People keep saying, oh, don't worry about it, but I feel like they're being, you know, optimistic without evidence, and they're assuming things about how I'm going to be using the space and all that kind of thing in the winter, which aren't true. So that's what we're going to do. I'll probably do one more video during the winter just on, you know, what the temperature is in there with all the insulation, because it gets, you know, real cold around here. It can go down to like -20 at night kind of thing. That's on a real bad day. We got at least another month and a week or two before that happens. Typically like the first week of January you'll get it. So yeah, I'll do one video then, but otherwise I think we'll see you again in the spring. And yeah, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. So see you later.